And good day, ladies and gents, wherever you may be around the world, and welcome to my latest stream. And I'm very happy today to have as a guest on the stream, RedHawk. How you going, RedHawk?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I'm. All right. Let's get rid of that. Sorry, boomer moments, guys. Boomer moments. But yeah, all right. I've talked about this stream on my Discord a fair bit, and look, I get a lot of messages from young, mostly Anglo-Celtic men wanting to know how to start conversations with women, how to get a woman to be your girlfriend, and from there to obviously, if you don't have a girlfriend, it's pretty difficult to make her your wife, which to me is a pretty trad position. Now, I'm not going to say that there are not problems for men with getting married in our current era. There are, you can get divorced, raped, you can lose contact with your kids. All of that stuff can happen, obviously. But that's not what we're really going to be talking about on this stream. What I want this stream to be about is just advice for average young white Anglo-Celtic right of center people to start conversations with women, turn them into a girlfriend, and then turn them into a wife. So fairly trad accent. Riddle, carry on, mate.
Yeah. Well, I think the best way for us to start with this is, it seems like the young guys these days, largely growing up almost completely online, don't know how to have conversations, not just with women, but just with other guys. And I think that's generally the best place to start. If you can't have a conversation with, a regular guy, don't even bother trying to have one with a woman. So you have to develop the social skills. You have to basically walk before you can run. So I think that's the best first place to start. What do you think about that?
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah. And then I think, you can kind of level up from there. And what I always tell guys when I'm giving them advice is the best first place to start if you're trying to get better with talking with women. You should try and talk to people that are already in, social positions for their job. So like your cashiers, your waitresses, bartenders, people like that, people that already have to be social for their jobs. It's super easy to just have a conversation with them because, they're talking to people all the time throughout their day. They're going to be generally receptive to you. And it doesn't have to be like a super flirty kind of conversation. It's just, if you could just walk up to a stranger and start something and be charming, you're already on the right path.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then from there on, you can actually start, the way most guys fall into a relationship is, like social circle game, so like a friend of a friend or, a friend of a cousin, something like that. They get
Your
introduced.
sister's best mate, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You get introduced by, somebody else. So that's your in kind of deal. And if you can just have, a normal type of conversation in that kind of social gathering like that, there you go. A fantastic tip for people. People just want to hear themselves talk and hear their own thoughts come out of your mouth. So if you could just be a good listener and engage in very basic conversation and don't really say too much, the other person is just going to naturally come away from that conversation being like, oh, wow, I really like that guy, So
Yep,
it's,
yep.
yeah, that's exactly how it goes on most things.
I mean, look, we're also going to have to a little bit because 2022 touch
Mm-hmm.
on uh, internet stuff
Right.
and dating apps and this kind of stuff. But look, the reason I decided I'd get you on for this stream is that, like, you know a lot of this stuff, yeah. Now, people may or may not agree with the way that one can use that, but as far as I'm concerned, the same skills can be used for good, indifferent, or evil. It
Right.
doesn't make and what some people will call good, indifferent, and evil is going to differ too. So that's why I thought I'd have you on for this, because like I've been running my channel for, I don't know, getting on for 2 years, I guess, certainly
Mm.
18 months, and I get a lot of messages from young blokes who tell me really, really basic stuff like, I don't even know how to start a conversation with a woman. And others who say, look, I've got no chance whatsoever of finding a girlfriend, which, as far as I'm concerned, unless you are Quasimodo, is extremely unlikely.
Yeah. I mean, the game is definitely changing than what it was before, but it's definitely not
It's getting
impossible.
harder. It is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yes.
want to be a young man today. Look, I'm an old bastard. I'm like 57 now. But back in my younger day, I remember, it's always the bloke who has to do the work, but
Mhm.
it used to be easier than it is today, or at least that's the way it seems to me,
Yep.
looking at it from the outside.
Yep, it's definitely difficult. And guys, you're going to have to carry the conversation like 95% of the time, especially on a first date, because, most women, particularly the younger ones these days, they're really boring. They don't really have much to say. They don't really have much to contribute to the conversation, and they really tend to freeze up. So you really just have to be quick and on the fly with a lot of this stuff. Actually, another thing I recommend to guys a lot is watch it might sound weird, but watch like a Joe Rogan podcast or like a stand-up comedy podcast where comedians are just ribbing off of each other and they just improv things like that. You can really pick up on things really quickly that way. And also, use the same kind of one-liners all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, you're talking to multiple people throughout the day, just say the exact same kind of thing. I mean, nobody's going to know the difference. Go for it. See what works for you. It's hilarious.
Yeah. George is a good guy. He's a friend of the channel. But yeah, I just think Lady Echelon is saying women are pretty boring nowadays. I'll be honest with you, Lady Echelon, right? And I really adore women. I think they're decorative. They're pretty. They're very entertaining, and you in particular, Lady Echelon, are like one of the saner women that I see online. And also, of course, you're a wife and a mother. But I don't know, women, you always had to kind of get them out of their shell a bit.
True. Yeah, today it really is really bad though. Like, they don't really know how to keep the conversation flowing. They really like giving like one word answers, and it's hard to push off of them with that and keep things going. You find yourself having to switch the conversation a bunch and stuff like that. And a way you can get around this, and this is a classic old school pickup technique when you're making a cold approach, you want to make an assumption about the woman that forces her to engage with the argument, whether it's to correct you or anything like that. So you don't want to go up to her and say, oh, you look really pretty. You want to go up to her and say, oh, you look like you do this thing. You look like you are a femme fatale, or you look like you are a lawyer or something like that, because it forces her to engage in the conversation and then respond to you in a certain way. Whether your assumption is correct or not, it doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Yep, makes sense.
Yeah. So that's
and it's also a kind of subtle compliment, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is what I'm trying to say to you, RedHawk. Like, I see that what you were saying there is you're kind of subtly complimenting her, but some of the guys I speak to these days, some like young chaps, they just don't get that.
Yeah.
Which, maybe because they like, I don't know about you, but like, I got some of my advice on women, much of it very bad, from my father. But some of it was like good common sense, But there's a lot of dudes these days who don't have a live-in father, shall we say.
Yeah, it's definitely a very big problem. I mean, most guys are either growing up in single mother homes, and majority of their authority figures are female all throughout school, and they just don't have the masculine advice. And then those that do have a father figure, half the time the guy is henpecked and doesn't really know his ass from a hole in the ground. So
absolutely.
It's bad advice all around. And then don't even get me started when you actually get online. And then, there's good advice out there, but it's mixed with so much sludge. It's very difficult for guys. Absolutely.
Yep. This is the idea of the stream. And Lady of Schlot in the chat, you don't want a woman who talks too much. That's really difficult, to be honest. But there we go.
especially when she just talks about herself. It's one thing, like, it's a fantastic indicator of interest when a girl is asking stuff about you, like she wants to learn more about you. Like if you can get a girl to be talkative on a first date and all she wants to do is talk about you, then that's a green light, good for you. But yeah, if she's just talking about mindless dribble and just about herself all the time, yeah, that's torture.
Could we talk about a couple of basic things before we get on to the more complicated stuff you know far more about than I do? Like, for example, I have always found that women will notice, and blokes never will, if your shoes are polished.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, there definitely is to an extent. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're going for too, because if you're going for, like, if I could describe it in, Robert Greene, he wrote this book called The Art of Seduction. And in that book, he gave multiple examples of, like, archetypes of men. I think he gave 9. It's been a while since I read the book, but it's basically like the kind of persona you're trying to present yourself with. Like, if you go around walking in a suit or something, then yes, you want to make sure your shoes are polished. But if you're walking around like the bad boy, who barely, who just is in like a tank top and some basic tennis shoes and stuff, they're not really looking for that.
Never wear a tank top.
Yeah.
Really, most blokes should never ever wear a tank top. Trust me.
Yeah, but it's just like kind of the archetype you're going for. Are you going for like more of the bad boy? Are you going for more of like the well-established man kind of deal? There's multiple ways to skin a cat with this kind of stuff.
Oh, look, you can have a casual look, but I would still say you need to be clean, neat, and good smelling.
Right.
Women notice that stuff, whereas blokes mostly don't. Or at least it's way lower on a bloke's radar than it is a woman's. One of the things I think is absolutely true about male and female psychology is that when a woman walks into a room, within about 30 or 40 seconds, she has rated every other single woman in that room compared to herself in terms of attractiveness. Women are very, very superficial, and I don't even mean that in a bad way.
Yeah, absolutely.
You must be the best you can possibly be in terms of having a neat haircut and being, you don't have to be clean shaven. Women can go off the stubble and all this stuff, but you have to be the best you can be. Yeah,
right. I absolutely agree with that. The smell is definitely a very big one for sure. Have proper grooming. Especially guys who like grow up in like a sports environment kind of deal, and you're around a bunch of younger men who, are not showering very often and stuff like that. Guys don't really care about that too much, because they just get used to it. But yeah, women absolutely will pick up on that. So absolutely, guys, get yourselves, smelling decently. Get yourself a cheap bottle of cologne. It'll cost you like $60. And it'll definitely save you for sure.
Yeah, when he says a cheap bottle of cologne, he's actually talking about a medium price bottle of cologne.
Yes.
But yeah, all right. But also, you can smell of whiskey and cigars, and some women won't mind that.
Yeah, that's true. It's true as well.
Because if their dad smelled of whiskey and cigars, they'll like it if you do. And I've had that happen to me. So long as it is whiskey, cigars, and then soap.
Yeah,
it's got to be clean. It's got to be clean.
For sure. I'm generally noticing in the game these days as well that clean shaven is generally the better way to go, unless you can really actually pull off like a full beard, like full facial hair. I think the soy boy hipsters have pretty much ruined facial hair. So generally speaking, I think you should just go clean shaven until you can actually legitimately grow, a Jesus kind of beard. You're not impressing anybody at 22 years old with a little bit of fuzz on your face. It just doesn't look good in most cases.
I had a big mustache when I was, let me think, I grew it when I was 19 and in the army, and I kept it until I was, 30 something. And these days I have a little kind of Spanish type beard, which I've always had. But I also started shaving my head when I was in my late 20s because I was losing my hair. So I just took it off. And another thing I would say to blokes, if that's happening to you, and of course it does sometimes, and it's usually you got too many male hormones, women don't mind that, providing your head is not a ridiculous shape.
Yeah.
All
Also,
right? I mean, there are
also,
some blokes who shouldn't do it, but if your head's not a bad shape, you can absolutely just shave it off, boys. Don't do comb overs or any of that nonsense.
yeah, absolutely. Are you familiar? There's this story. There's this sportscaster, big time sportscaster on ESPN in the United States. His name is Joe Buck, and there was a big scandal in the early 2010s where he was getting hair plugs. He was one of the first guys, and it looked absolutely terrible. And it came out he spent over a hundred grand on hair plugs, and ever since then, this guy's been ridiculously mocked forever in America. It's just so funny. Just own what you are. If you're losing your hair and you're insecure about it, then the woman is also going to be insecure about it. If you just own what you are, if you're short and if you're self-conscious about being short, then the woman is going to be self-conscious as well. So if you just own what you are, the woman is going to feed off of your energy, guys. So if it's not an insecurity for you, it's not going to be for her.
So true. So true. Swifty Morgan in the chat says, go Bruce Willis. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis was not hated by women. What's his name? Sean Connery, when he lost his hair, was not hated by women.
Yeah.
Women don't care if you got hair or not. They care about other things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely true.
It's I don't understand. When I was a young teenager bloke, we all knew this, but to me it's these days a lot of young chaps don't know it, and I don't understand why. Except for lack of fathers, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Swifty Morgan says Yul Brynner. Yeah, another example. Telly Savalas. There are loads.
Yeah. Yul Brynner, classic Western guy. Yeah, absolutely true.
It's not a big deal. If you're losing your hair, rather than doing a comb over, get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just shave it. You'll get curl. You will get girls. I guarantee you. Well, if you're not totally ugly, you will get girls coming up to you in a pub who just want to rub their hand over it. It happened to me more than three times. So it happens. Don't worry about it. Women don't care about that shit, man.
Yeah.
Women care that if you're their bloke, they feel safe with you. They think that other women will look at them and go, "Oh, he's all right," and that kind of stuff. That is the sort of thing that women care about. They don't care about if you look like a soy boy. They don't want you to look like a soy boy, and they most certainly don't want you to behave like one.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys make the mistake that women are, attracted to the same things that guys are, because guys are number one, visually. And while looks do matter to an extent with women, and it's also the number one thing they look for on dating apps, and this is something we can get into later. But yeah, looks do matter, but they are not number one when it comes to women. So don't be so insecure about it.
No. I mean, look, Jeff Bezos, I doubt has much problem getting hold of chicks, but he's not exactly an oil painting, is he?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a fantastic example. It's there's loads of women lining up to get with Jeff Bezos, but there's not loads of guys lining up to get with Oprah Winfrey. So
exactly right. Totally different stories. Mm-hmm. What women are looking for is no, George, you see, this is where we have to struggle against this, and I hope you'll agree with me, RedHawk, is that George is saying just make money, bro. Yeah, all right, there are a lot of women who will just go in that direction. There absolutely are, and if you don't know that, you're an idiot. All right?
Yep.
There are. But that is not how it always works. I was never a wealthy man. I was a soldier, okay? And so, trust me, there's no such thing as a wealthy soldier. But I didn't ever have problems getting women because I'm 6'2", I'm about 200 pounds, and I don't look like the back of a bus. And also, it's a fact that if a woman got into trouble when she was around me, I would protect her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to women too.
Absolutely.
And there's also this thing with women that, you know, some chick once turned around and said to my girl, long time ago now, like 20, 25 years ago, I wished my bloke looked at me like your bloke looks at you. You know, there's a much more subtle thing going on than many men realize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very, very true. Your eyes are a fantastic indicator, especially like when you're doing a first approach with a woman. Strong eye contact for sure. You know, is definitely something to set the mood. You're almost like it's almost like you're trying to fuck the woman with your eyes. You know, is essentially what we call it.
There is a sense of that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
You have to kind of look through her.
Yeah, excellent way of describing it. And then, eventually she will break eye contact because she will. And when she looks down, it's just a slight little giveaway because that's like a sign of submission a little bit. And it's just these little things that you can pick up on. You're like, ooh, okay. So we're off to the races with this one. So
yeah. No, look, what I'm very conscious of, RedHawk, on this stream is like I've got various ideas about women, which I know work to some point, but like I'm 25, 30 years out of date compared with you, and I know that the market and men and women have changed a lot since then, which is why I got you on this show, because like as I said, the people who are sending me messages are like 18 to 23, 24, so I thought, okay, let's get you on, because you can say to people, well, look, how do I start a conversation with a girl to start with? And then turning a girl from just some chick who you're showing up into a girlfriend, because unless you can do that, you can't turn them into a damn wife, for God's sake,
Yeah, absolutely true. For sure. It's I think something else that we could touch on here as well, and I am seeing this a lot, especially with the very young guys, is that they almost have this animosity and anger towards women. Now, I'm going to have like a caveat to this, and that anger and the anger phase is healthy. It's the natural male emotion. It's the default one that guys go towards, and it's often what you feel when you've realized that you've been lied to about all these things. Your natural inclination is to be mad and to lash out.
And women never lie, by the way. And if you believe that, you're the most biggest moron there's ever been. But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, you have been lied to. And yes, that is wrong. And yes, it is natural for you to be angry about it. And there is a phase that is totally natural for you to work your way through to get through this kind of anger. But you should not be, an angry, black pill, hate all women kind of person. It's not going to help you. And women absolutely will pick up on that if you start conversations with them. They could just pick it up in your vocal intonations, man. Like, it's not healthy for you to be, hating and being resentful towards women. There are plenty of problems with women in today's society, but it's not your job to be angry and pissed off about them all the time. It doesn't serve you.
Right, sure ain't going to help you get a girlfriend or a wife and then have like a family with children. It's not going to help you with that, boys.
Absolutely true. Yeah, and I think this also ties into, I was mentioning before, like when you get on the internet, you get a lot of bad advice as well. And of course, there's plenty of guys out there that will just tell you to 100% check out and everything like that. Woe is me. It's impossible to succeed in this marketplace. Like all the 30-year-old guys are stealing all the young women from me. It's impossible for me to compete. And it's like, guys, just accept the fact that your late teens and your early to mid 20s are just going to suck. Just accept it. It's the way the world is right now. And that's totally fine. You're working hard. You're playing to win. So you're working hard in your 20s so that by the time you're in your 30s, you can be that guy who's got all the abundance to him. Don't hate him. Just learn from him and acquire his tactics and skills so you can succeed at a later point. Keep your eye on the prize. And then let's see here. I just tweeted out the link as well. So hopefully we can get more guys in here. Awesome. Yeah. So And then let's see what else we got. Yeah, so don't be hating on chicks, man. It's not helpful to you. You know, it's they're just gonna pick up on it, and you're not gonna get anywhere. So work hard, things will work out for you. And it doesn't seem like that right now, you know, because all the older guys are gonna be taking these young chicks from you. But it's just the way the world is. It's different if you're in college, though. I will say that you can definitely, you know, get your feet wet, as it were, in the college sphere, because it's almost like those women are kind of sectioned off from the rest of society, as it were. So you can actually, you know, do a fairly good job in college, but kind of like once you leave that scene, it's going to be really, really slim pickings, because 75% of relationships start online, and that's, you know, a whole nother kettle of fish that we can get into. Bolero 393. No, I do not coach for $250 an hour yet, at least.
Forgive me, dudes. My little dog needed to go outside just now. Okay, look, I know some women won't like this very much, but there are warning signs one should look for in women.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're looking at them as a long-term prospect, like as a long-term girlfriend or maybe eventually a wife, there are things one can see about women and listen to about women that should, and obviously there will be exceptions with everything there are, but not that
Right.
many. There are things you should look at. What would you say they would be, RedHawk?
A big one for me that is like a big red flag is if a girl says she's been single for a long period of time. That's a big red flag for me, because we all know that women these days, they're not actually single. They're just
No.
sleeping around with a bunch of other guys. So
Yeah.
ironically, it's almost more acceptable if a girl has had like 2 relationships over a 6-year period, as opposed to her being single for like 2 years. No,
Yeah, because that will be like, I don't know, what, 15 or 12 casual, whatever, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's totally different for girls, guys. Like girls are always, always, always having people chase them all the time. You know, every single interaction they have almost is some guys thinking, "Oh wow, I'd really like to sleep with that." So
Yeah.
they always have opportunities
If
coming
she
at them.
doesn't look absolutely like the back of a bus, a woman will have guys chasing her most days.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's a huge, huge red flag if she says she's single for a very long period of time, because we all know what that means.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, totally true. Totally true. And also the other thing I would say, I don't know if you'd agree with this, RedHawk, but like in my experience, women care far less how many sexual partners blokes have had in the past, not when you're with them. In the past, they care far less about that than blokes should about women and how many sexual partners they've had in the past, because there are different effects if you're a bloke or a woman in that sort of instance.
Correct. Absolutely true. And this also goes back to the discussion we were having about hair loss and stuff like that. If you just own what you are, then they will accept it. You know, they'll feed off of your energy, guys, with so many things. I'm telling you. So if you just own what you are, it's not going to be an issue for her. If it becomes an insecurity for you, it absolutely will be for her. So, yeah. So if you can just, kind of cool her mind about it a little bit, saying, yes, I've been around quite a few times, but you almost kind of have to like give her some security in her position, if that makes any sense. Because she's going to be concerned about you. She's basically going to be concerned about losing her investment in you if you have like slept around a bunch. And you're just very upfront about it and set your standards and your boundaries very quickly. And basically be like, hey, if you do XYZ things, then I have no motivation to go off with somebody else. And you're not going to lose out on me, kind of deal.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I look, I was always a serial monogamist anyway. Like if I was with a girl, with only a very few exceptions, I didn't even look at other women, And a couple of chicks who were the great loves of my life, I never looked at another woman in terms of like, oh yeah, okay, I want to bang her, just didn't happen. But yeah, I agree with that. Simple Pirate in the chat. Women want to bang their dads. I guess Floyd was right. Without wishing to make this in the least way bad, to some degree, there is a certain amount of truth in that.
Yes. Yeah.
There really is. If they had a good relationship with their dad.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And if they have a bad relationship, they just look for the opposite, because it's your first masculine influence in your life. He's the guy that's protected you for the first 18 years of your life. So naturally, that's the person you're either gonna gravitate towards or repel yourself from. So,
yeah, and you judge if you're a chick and you loved your dad and your dad was your great protector and you were his princess. That's what you judge men on, because is he anywhere near as good as my dad? Which obviously is like common sense, which these days we kind of don't agree with. I don't endorse Freud, George, but I do think after, I don't know, okay, I'm 57, so I've had experience with women for at least 40 odd years. I do think there is some truth in that. There really is. Yeah. I don't think it works the other way at all, by the way.
No, I don't think it does either. And largely this is because women's sexual strategy inevitably becomes their survival strategy. Despite the fact that throughout the last 60 years of feminism, where women can take care of themselves, the evolutionary machine in our nature doesn't know that. So deep down in the woman's lizard brain and everything like that, they are still looking for a protector character, despite the fact that, we have all these modern conventions and everything like that. It still doesn't change the facts on the ground.
Of course not. No, absolutely correct. I mean, where are we? Someone said something here. It's Ashton Duke says some chick who had a creepy relationship with a stepdad. That's totally different. Yeah. I'm not talking about stepdads. I'm talking about actual fathers. And if a woman has a good relationship with her father and admires him, that's a very good sign. If you're looking for a trad relationship, it really is, because if you can live up to that model, then she's probably gonna think you're a good bloke and continually think you're a good bloke. Like I've had this conversation many times with young blokes. Like when I was a young guy in like 18, 19, 20, and I was dating girls, going to meet her father was a really big deal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because you knew he was going to be an absolute bastard to you, and like if you fucked up in the least way, you can't go out with my daughter, Yeah. And I think that was a healthy way for families to be. And it was a healthy way for women to be, because, if the boyfriend came home and he was a twat, the dad would say, no, fuck off. You're not allowed to go out with my girls. And that was it. You just weren't, unless the girl was no good. But apparently that isn't so true today, which,
Yeah, it's not very common anymore. Women are definitely very liberated and independent these days, so they definitely do not seek the approval of their fathers in their mate selection choices. And this personally is why I think we have a lot of single motherhood rates and everything like that, is because women don't exactly make the best choices, and it's important to have that kind of masculine opinion on your mate choice, particularly from somebody who isn't interested in you sexually. Like your father and your brother and your family members are really the only men that a woman is ever going to encounter that aren't really in the back of their mind thinking, oh, I really want to screw. So they're really the only men in your life that are absolutely 100% qualified to give you this kind of advice.
Yeah. I mean, look, I remember the love of my bloody life, for God's sake. Her dad was dead, but her brother-in-law, who was a really nice bloke who I got on with really well. The first time I met him, he took me out to his shed in his garden, and we were sitting there and drinking Guinness, and he just basically, how can I describe it? He interrogated me about my intentions towards his sister-in-law, as a good man should, you know. And apparently was satisfied after that, which, you know, I reckon that's a really good and healthy way to be.
Yeah, absolutely true. Yep. And it's definitely very rare these days. You know, it's very rare that I will meet you know, one of my girls' parents. It's not really something they do. And it's interesting as to, you know, the logic as to why that is. I mean, I'm not really jumping at the gun to do it just because I'm looking for different things. But you know, like when I have had you know, serious girlfriends, yeah, meeting their fathers was absolutely a very important moment. You know, and in that time, you know, dress nicely, have a firm handshake, look them in the eye, and just have honest kind of guy talk. You know,
I used to I mean, we don't do this in Britain or Australia, but in America, I used to like when you watch the old time, like 1950s or 60s films in America, where the boyfriend would go home to the girlfriend's parents, and he would call the girl's dad sir. You know, we don't do that in UK, never have, and we don't do it in Australia either. Well, maybe a little bit in Australia, but not much. But I used to kind of like that, to be honest.
yeah, I do that. I use sir quite a bit. You know, I'll even use it amongst like my own peers and stuff like that. It is definitely more of a common phrase over here. I didn't know that wasn't you know, big over there in the Commonwealth. That's interesting.
No, we never did that. But then, you know, there was like in Britain there used to be, and in Australia there used to be like a general more respect, like, you know, between blokes, and I never called a girlfriend's father sir, but you know, I never called my dad sir either, you know. So the only people I ever called sir were officers in the army who were supposedly above me, and I said it but didn't always believe it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That's interesting. Also, because you guys come from like you know, the royalty and everything like that, and that was more reserved for, you know, those kinds of people. But of course, over here in the States, didn't really have that. But yeah, that was very common phrase. You know, we learned that stuff in like kindergarten. You know, like you just refer to the waitress as a sir and stuff like that. I actually think even Tocqueville.
We used to call teachers sir.
Yeah,
or miss if they were girls.
Yeah,
we used to do that.
That's interesting because it's just always been part of American culture. I think even Tocqueville mentions it in his book Democracy in America, and that was written in the 1830s. I think there's a quote in there, and I'm going to butcher it, but he says, "America is the only country in the world where they refer to the waiter as sir, as if he was a knight." No, so very interesting.
Yeah, no, I do think there's much to be said for, like, you know, how people treat waiters and waitresses is a good way of looking at how they treat people generally. If they're not polite to waiters and waitresses, then I'm not entirely sure I would trust them.
Right.
Because those guys have no power, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're not polite to those people. But I don't want to get off topic because, like I said, this stream was for a specific purpose, and it is just so many white, European, Anglo-Celtic, right of center dudes who, like, are finding it really difficult to find a girlfriend, and that's really why you're on here, mate. So carry on with that stuff, please.
Right, absolutely. So, you know, we were just mentioning waitresses, and we were talking about red flags earlier, and that's another good one right off the bat. You know, is your girl, is she needy? Is she you know, impolite, stuff like that? Does she a really big one for me? Does she respect other people's time, including myself? Like, if a chick shows up late to the first 10 minutes, if she shows up 10 minutes late on like the first date, that's honestly grounds for me to just get up and walk away. And sometimes, and I've done this before where I've just texted girls if they haven't shown up for like the first 10 minutes.
Oh, come on, Redhawk. That's a bit pushy for a girl. Like, I mean, most girls will be 15 minutes late, for God's sake.
Oh no, I agree. But I'm kind of looking for different things here as well. And I have a caveat to this. If she hasn't said anything to you, like if I say, oh, we're going to meet at 8:00 and 7:55 rolls around and she hasn't told me she's going to be late or not, and then I'm waiting for like another 10 minutes, then that's a problem. If she says, oh, I'm running a little bit late. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. Good. You took the time to actually inform me, what is going on with you. But if you just expect me to sit around and wait for you, that's a problem. And that's just going to overflow into other issues. And I'd rather just, not deal with it. And I'll just cut to the chase right away and say, okay, you know what? This isn't for me. I don't feel like wasting my time.
Wasting your time. Fair enough. If she tells you in advance, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's just a big one for me. It's like, do you respect other people's time? Because it's just a pet peeve of mine for people to be tardy.
Although by and large, women don't. It has to be said.
Yeah, this is true as well. But this also ties into one of my favorite green flags I like to look for. Is she coachable? Like, does she follow your lead? One of my favorite things I really like to do, and because people are absolutely glued to their phones these days, if a girl, like, let's say we're on like a walk or something, which is one of my favorite ideas for a first date. I'm eventually going to do a show on this on my own channel about this, but I really like going on walks. And if a girl like pulls out her phone like once or twice, that's one thing. But if she starts like being on her phone for a significant period of time, I will just tell her, hey, put that away. You're here with me. And if she freaks out about that, then I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. But if she listens,
totally agree.
Yeah, but if she listens and she puts it away for the rest of the time, I'm like, oh, okay, very, very good. That's fantastic. You're listening. That's great. There's stuff that we could work for, because I think a big issue that a lot of guys, especially when they're first starting out, is that they let, perfect be the enemy of the good, so to speak. They think that they're just going to go out and they're going to find this virgin 18-year-old trad wife that has read all of Evola's books and, is totally in favor of the patriarchy and wants to save the West. It's like, it's not going to happen.
No, it ain't. No, it is certainly not. But on the other hand, the vast majority of women, if they like you and admire you, which are not quite the same things, by the way, will follow you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's the natural thing that women do. It is.
Yeah. They'll pick up on pretty much everything that you do. I'm really, really big into guns. Unfortunately for you guys in the Commonwealth, they can't own them to the same extent we can. But
you're not right, mate. I can own a 303 in Australia anytime I want. So it's not quite as true as you think. But okay.
Yeah. Anywho, so yeah, I'm big into that, and I try to shoot at least once a week. I mean, it's getting a little difficult now because of ammo prices and everything else like that. But over time, I've had so many girls throughout the years want to get into that sport just because it's something I'm doing all the time. And though they can either be, scared of guns or totally, anti-gun in some cases, but eventually if you just hold firm, you're like, nope, I'm going to do this thing. You're not going to henpeck me. This is something I like to do. And that's another thing, guys. You should always have something else going on. Like, be interesting. Like you can't.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't. You can't just. You have to offer the girl something. This is a really big problem. A lot of guys who just grow up on the internet, they treat women as objects, and not in a good way. If you understand what I'm saying. They treat them like they treat it like it's a game. Like there's not another person there that you have to satisfy or anything like that. It's like if the only thing you have going on is that you play like, Call of Duty and you hang out with like some guys on the internet all the time, like what does that say to the girl? What is there for her to brag to her friends about?
She's not going to like that, boys. She's not going to like it. And she ain't going to stay with you if that's all you do.
Yes. You have
Never going to happen.
Yeah. You have to have hobbies.
Do something interesting. Have interesting opinions. Do something that is exciting.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be vastly. It can be something like go sailing sometimes, or walking the mountains, or shooting, like RedHawk was saying. Any of these things are perfectly acceptable, but they're manly things that a girl will think, cool.
Yeah.
You know?
It doesn't even have to be, something even that extravagant or crazy. It can literally just be, oh, I paint sometimes or something like that, or I do
Yeah,
drawings, I do
yeah, yeah,
sketches.
yeah.
It's just something. It goes right back to what we're saying. There's a theme going through all this stuff. You just have to own what you are, and she's going to build off of that. If you're losing your hair, just own it. If you're a short guy, just own it. If you like, painting miniatures or whatever it is, or you play like Dungeons and Dragons, it doesn't really matter what it is. You just have to own what you are and just be passionate about something and be interesting when you talk about it. And naturally, she's just going to want to ask you more about it, and she's going
Totally
to
agree.
want to join in with you
Yeah.
about it. But yeah, I mean, there is a healthy way to treat a woman like she's yours and like an object. But
do some manly stuff.
Absolutely.
You have to do some stuff which a woman can say that's manly, and trust me, what women say is manly is traditional.
Yep,
It
absolutely.
hasn't much changed in 1,000 years.
Yeah, all the young girls who are saying, "Oh, it's really attractive when a man is emotional in front of me and he cries." Bullshit, they're lying. Don't listen.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll leave them as soon as they do that.
Yeah, exactly. No, but
No, I totally agree with that, mate. Romantic walks are beautiful. Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of my dates that I do one of the dates I used to do when I went out with women, I'd go to the local zoo.
Oh yeah.
Women will love that because most women like animals. And you'll see cute little baby animals, and the women will go and all the rest of it. And if you know anything about that stuff, and you can tell them a bit about it as you go around, they will begin to admire you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely true. I actually have a background in zoology to an extent, so that actually is a very popular, date option for myself as well. So it's one of the things, like, people actually kind of hate it when they're traveling with me, because whenever I go on like a traveling thing, I always want to go to the local zoo, and like test it out and stuff like that. And
well, I mean, look, but also, like, I'll go there just because I want to go there.
Oh yeah,
and I'll take a girl, and the girl will go, "Oh shit, he actually knows about this shit,"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a very fun date choice, and it's also not super expensive either. So.
Yep. You can get a cheap meal in mimosas and a couple of beers or whatever, and do something different. Don't say, "Oh, I want to take you to the disco." This kind of thing. Like everybody else does.
Yeah, you don't want to go to a place that's like loud and crowded either for a first date. You wouldn't want to go to like a nightclub to go dancing. You don't want to go to a movie theater because you can't talk to each other. You can't get a feel for each other if you're going to a movie. It's like movie theaters were cool like back in the day when they were new and everything like that. But nowadays, no. Yeah, take her to skydiving. She'll remember you forever.
Don't do that. Don't do that, guys, because like 2/3 of women won't want to do that. Trust me. At least 2/3 of women actually won't want to do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I'd go somewhat lower. Take a sailing by all means.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd imagine so many chicks would sign up for that.
Yeah. But I mean, when she spews, as she will, if she's never been sailing before, don't laugh too much.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Be nice to her,
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be. Look, treat women as you would a child.
Yeah.
Yes. You won't go that far wrong.
Yes.
I've been trying to tell men this for like 30 years. If you treat women as you would a child, you will not go far wrong.
Yes.
Because generally speaking, that's how they think.
Yes, this is 100% true. This is so true. I'm so glad you brought this up. They're in so many ways. They are. They don't have to face the same hardships like men do. and stuff like that. So they're very much like children in that regard. They also will never be accountable for their actions, also like children. But again, this isn't, we're not pointing out these truths, so you can rub it in women's face and hate on them and stuff like that. No, we're just
No.
pointing these out so you understand the way the game works and how you can act accordingly. This isn't to hate on women or anything like that. I mean, we love women here. They're pretty much like the best thing on planet Earth,
Absolutely. Women are the most wonderful thing in the world, but you do have to treat them like children. But if you do, and you do it well, you'll have this great girl by your side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely
who admires you, and eventually you may have children with her.
Yeah. A woman has to respect you in order to love you.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, mate. Thank you. If she doesn't, she won't. Even if she likes you, if she doesn't respect you, she won't love you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. Yep. On the subject of dates, another great thing that guys can do, and again, especially if you're starting out and you don't really have a bunch of money to throw around, go to multiple places. Like plan your dates out ahead of time. Say like there's a certain area you really like to go to, and you can go for a walk. And if the walk is going well, then you guys can go to a coffee shop, and then you can spend a little bit of money there. And if it's still going well, then you guys can walk to another place. Maybe there's like a craft store nearby and you can walk to that place. So you always have options and you have outs along the way. Say the walk isn't going so well and you're just, the chemistry really isn't there and you don't think this is going to work. Oh, okay. You can leave and go on the next one. So you always want to have options. And as you're taking her, it's kind of like an adventure, it's like you're leading her through all the way while you're doing these things. You don't have to tell her in advance what you're going to do. Just be like, hey, show up here at this time, wear this thing, and you'll be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that blokes can do. Like, you can give your girl advice on what she should wear. Mm-hmm. And if she admires you, she will mostly take your advice to heart.
Yeah, they absolutely love that. Like, a lot of guys who are just starting out think that women are these absolute delicate flowers that will shrivel up at the first sign of any boundary enforcement or orders or anything like that. And that's not the case at all. They're looking for that stuff, guys. Women are ruled by their emotions, and they're absolutely hectic all the time. They're chaos manifest. They freak out all the time about the littlest things. Imagine she's trying to meet you for a first date, and she's so insecure all the time. She's thinking, oh my God, what should I wear? Is he going to think I'm slutty? Is he going to think I'm a prude? What's he going to think about me if I wear this thing? It takes off so much pressure for them on a first date. If you just say, hey, it's going to be casual, wear jeans and a shirt, or, if it's cold outside, wear a jacket, just seriously, just give them very basic instructions and they'll love you for it.
I would say, look, first dates, yeah, fine, whatever. But like when you've known her and you're on a third, fourth, fifth date and she's kind of becoming your girlfriend, tell her what to fucking wear, man. Within reason, of course, but tell her what to wear. They'll like it.
Yep.
Almost all women will like that.
Yep.
I'd really like it if you wore X, Y, Z. And you will find if she really likes you, she'll wear exactly that.
Yep.
Or something close to it.
Yeah, very true. Like, guys, they want to submit to a strong man. They want to submit to somebody and follow them. They want someone who will protect them. And if by that very definition, they have to look up to you. And by looking up to you, that means they're going to serve you, for lack of a better word. So you have to take the lead, you have to take the initiative, and they will fall in line, and that's not a bad thing. That's just how the dynamics have worked for thousands of years. There's nothing wrong with that. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Evolution. Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is another thing I see young blokes don't get. Like, if you think women are your equal, as a young man, you're an idiot, because women don't see themselves as your equal. They don't at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't want to. They
no.
want to see you as someone they can admire if you are their man.
Absolutely true. I mean, already going into relationships, women don't seek equals. They seek men that are older than them, that are stronger than them, that are richer than them, right off the bat. So they aren't even going into the situation looking for equality, no matter what comes out of their mouth. This is one of the absolute central tenets of all pickup artistry is watch what women do, don't listen to what they say. So you just look at the revealed preference, and they'll do wonders for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's one of the main reasons, like, people slag you off, RedHawk, and people have slagged me off because I was going to have you on a stream. Is exactly that, which is entirely anti, like, I don't know, 2 million years of human evolution,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I'm just pointing out dynamics that have been lost to so many people because, we're living in the hellscape these days where, women are men and men are women and guys don't have like direction in anything, whether it relates to women or jobs or anything like that. People just seem so lost. And so it sounds like I'm speaking Chinese in so many of these circumstances. But, I mean, I always say everybody eventually, gets red pilled. It just, how much pain does it take you to get along the way, with this kind of stuff? Eventually guys will learn, it just.
All right. Swifty Morgan in the chat says, find a woman who can cook.
Oh yeah.
I don't disagree with that. But on the other hand, I cook perfectly well,
Mm-hmm.
And it's not difficult to cook perfectly well. And most of the world's great chefs are actually men. But yeah, find a woman who can cook, by all means.
Or one that's at least open to learning and trying things, because it's gonna be tough to find a young 20s woman who has access to Uber Eats on her phone, to be some master chef. So
yeah, I guess that's probably true. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think that, like, all of my experience with women in my entire life, and let me be clear, these days I have what should I describe it as? I have a relationship, I guess, with a chick who, like, I see once a fortnight or sometimes once a week, but I don't really care anymore. And she knows that, which means, like, she's much more devoted than she otherwise would be. But if you want to have a relationship with a woman, you have to take the lead, as RedHawk has continually been saying. And you also have to have confidence.
Yep.
And if you don't do those things, then you can be married for 10 years. And like, when you have any sort of setback, she'll leave you. She just, as soon as she stops not admiring you, as soon as she's not admiring you, she will leave and find someone else.
Yep.
Because any woman who doesn't look like the back of the bus, as again RedHawk has pointed out, and he is correct, will get like multiple offers a week.
Yep. Very, very true. You constantly have to be on your A game, and this is why it's important when you're a young guy to kind of set your routine in order for the rest of your days. So get used to going to the gym, get used to, social skills, being proficient with money, all these kinds of things are going to, you have to be on your A game your entire life as a man. You don't get the luxury of taking breaks, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like, women only need to be cute. That's all they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
They can be dumb. They can be they can be
broke.
They can be broke. They can be absolutely fucked up in their brain. But if they're cute, they will get blokes.
Yep.
Blokes only get women when they are one of several things. They have to be rich, handsome, brave, and outstanding, or a combination of those things. And if you're not, you won't get women.
Yep, absolutely true. There's a reason why you don't see homeless women, but you see a bunch of homeless men. You know, it's
Yeah, hardly any homeless women, and the homeless women you do see are all like, I don't know, 55 plus.
yep.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I sometimes I walk around where I live, and I see women who are, I don't know, 20 stone with baby prams, and I just look at those women and I go, "Oh my God, who did that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I just go, "How could you even have managed to do that?"
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I literally couldn't. But you know,
yeah. Guys will screw anything, you know.
well,
If,
some so
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
some
Some
guys,
guys. Yeah.
some guys, some guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah. I'm man, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, they've done studies where they've compared like guys' sex drive to the drive for hunger, like if you're starving, and the sex drive they found is stronger in men than the drive for food. So, which
Yeah,
is pretty crazy.
I could have kind of believed that. All right,
Yeah.
Riddle. I want to change the bit of the stream a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so you've chatted up this girl, you've impressed her, you're going on your second or your third or maybe fourth date. How do you keep her as a girlfriend that you
Mhm.
could maybe turn into a wife?
Right. So the way I say this is just keep on doing the exact same things you were doing to attract her in the first place. You shouldn't change anything up to any major degree. The same kind of skills that allow you to attract women in the first place are also to an extent the same skills that keep them around. So if you were, let's say that you were really fit when you were first hanging out with this girl, and then you let yourself go, that's a big problem. So however you start the relationship is also how you have to keep it.
Mm.
So again, guys hate it when their woman gains weight on them. You got to do the exact same thing, you know. So or you got to be fair to the chick too. Got to give them something,
Totally.
a
Yeah,
reason for them to stay around.
totally agree.
Yep. So again, if you are the strong masculine kind of guy, and generally, and this is definitely the way I deal with these things as well. I never like ask a girl to be serious with me. I wait for the girl to do it first. Like in my opinion, that's a conversation that should always happen from the woman first. The guy can decide when he marries somebody, but to become like a girlfriend or something, I think that should generally be done by the girl first, because the girl is eventually going to ask you, like, oh, what are we? And this is where I tie this in a lot, and I've gotten in a lot of trouble for this before when I've talked about training your girl and training your woman. This is a fantastic tactic for guys to use when the girl inevitably asks, because if she's staying around, then it means she likes you. If she continues to go on dates with you, if she continues to spend time with you, she obviously likes you. It's not like girls aren't like guys. Guys will hang out with a girl for years and years and years, just hoping for one moment that they get a chance to hang out with them, to have sex with them. Girls aren't like that. They spend their time with guys that they admire and they enjoy. So if she's spending time with you, you know that she likes you.
George, I'm sorry, RedHawk. If a woman spends more than 3 months with you and he's not your girlfriend, like give it up. She ain't gonna be your girlfriend.
I was saying it to an extent of like, if she's spending like also this kind of ties into the question, like, are you having sex before marriage? If you're like to what extent, like how serious are you guys are before this? I guess I'm kind of going from the point of we're going on serious dates and things like this. And at that point, because I have other women at my disposal, this girl will always ask, "Oh, what are we?" kind of deal. And this is when I like to
Yeah.
tie it into things where you can train a girl to an extent to be the best girl that she can be for you. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, especially today, you're not going to find a girl that's 100% made already. You could find a girl that's maybe like 75%, and then you coach her the rest of the way. Like, a good relationship is built, it's not found, And so when a girl asks you, "Oh, what are we?" This is a fantastic opportunity for you to, encourage more good behavior out of her. And to that point where you want to be with this girl and make this girl your girlfriend, then that's when you can say, oh, okay, let's do this. You've been a total asset to me. You've, done the kind of things that I've liked. You're extremely pleasant to be around. Then, you can take her seriously. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely, I do. I don't know. I just think that um, like if she likes you, she likes you. You know.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's like we have said several times in this stream. They have to admire you. It's not like it's admire. If they don't look up to you, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
If they look up to you, then all things are possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is where blokes get it wrong. They
Yeah.
don't realize there is no, everything in the modern Western world, which is completely fucked, is everyone is equal. It's not.
Right.
In terms of women and men, women have to look up to you if you're a man. And if they don't, you're fucked.
Yep.
And in many other things don't matter at all. So long as they look up to you one way or another, you'll be all right. As soon as they stop, you're fucked.
Yep. Absolutely true.
They'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, very, very, very true. This is why I stress so much that you still got to be on your A game. Like you don't have the luxury of taking breaks. Still got to be strong. Still got to make your money. It's like just to show a woman's like test of loyalty is if you miraculously came home and lost your job or something. That's like the real test of loyalty. For a woman.
And 3/4 of women will fail that. Ultimately,
yeah,
3/4 of women will fail that ultimately, and if you don't believe that, then you're a silly bloke.
Yeah. You just have to understand, the way the game is played, guys. There's no hope in changing it. Like you can. Here's another thing as well. You can't rationalize, with a woman when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's all about feelings for the most part about it. Does she feel safe around you? Does she respect you? Does she, feel protected? All these kinds of things. It's almost all feelings with women. It's not like a rational kind of, thing. It's just not. It's not how they think. They're totally different than us in this regard.
Yeah, totally, 100% right. And many men don't get that.
Yeah, and
there is not a common language between women and men at all.
No, there is not. And this also is like guys will complain like they don't really know what to do because their girl can just swing on a dime. They change all the time. I mean, this ties into like, their time of the month and all that kind of stuff. But also in addition to that, a girl can be, just totally different one day to the next. They don't really have the same kinds of rational kinds of thinking that we do, where, they'll think about something for a long time after it's passed. What they'll think about is how they felt in that certain circumstance. So if your girl was like mad at you the day before, if you could just make her, not mad at you the next day, she'll forget about the previous time,
But you never will. Never will. No. The first time a chick harrows you over something, that's going to stay there forever unless you have an enormous upturn, which hardly ever happens.
Yeah, it's true as well. George brings up a good point in chat about afraid of rejection. Yeah, that's very true as well. Here's the other thing, guys, is that the game, number one, it's always been this way, but also now it's even more so. It's always been about numbers. So like you're going to get rejected 9 out of 10 times. It's just how it goes.
Yep.
And that's not this is the other thing. And this goes back to what we were saying earlier about how guys don't have that masculine influence on them from a young age. They think that them getting rejected is a personal indictment of themselves. and and it's not. It really isn't. It's almost like a female way of looking at things. And honestly, guys, it's not what it is. Like you go up to a girl, it could be a million and one things. It could be, oh, she has a boyfriend. Oh, she's, grumpy about something else. Oh, she's been approached like 10 times today and she's not interested. Oh, it's it's her time of the month, so she doesn't want to be a part of it. Oh, your shoes weren't tied, this certain day, and therefore she just didn't feel like it. Don't think it's a personal indictment of your worth. It's literally just how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, woman doesn't like you. Okay, well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
They're like buses. They're along again very shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Men just need to get. Women are like buses. If the one you want to stop this time doesn't stop, there'll be another few along in a few minutes.
Yep.
Don't worry about it.
Yep. There's always more. Yeah. And also, like, don't be concerned about like the social repercussions of that as well, because like honestly, most of the time the girl's gonna forget about you 10 minutes after you do your approach. She's like, oh, that was kind of interesting. The easiest way to get over like any approach anxiety, just think about this in your mind, guys. When you're going up to talk to a girl for the first time, just think, I'm probably the most interesting thing that's happened to her today. Just going up to, it's a really easy thing that you could tell yourself. Just like, this is probably like the coolest thing that's happened to her all day. Some guy came up
All
to
right,
her.
RedHawk, I'm going to put you on the spot now. So give us 3 examples of actual ways to go up to some chick you don't know and hopefully make her interested in you. Three examples.
Sure. So like I was saying earlier, the best way to do this is to make an assumption. That's the best thing you want to do. So say you're in a grocery store or something like that, and she's in the I don't know, the fruit aisle or something like that, and she's looking at like an apple or something like that, and you just go up to her right away and say, oh, that's a nice apple. I bet you eat very healthy or something like that. You want to make an assumption that reels her into the conversation and gets her to say something else. Or you're walking down the street and she's walking with a handbag or a briefcase or something like that. You just calmly walk up in front of her, look her dead in the eyes and say, oh, wow, I bet you are on your way back from a secret mission, or something like that. Something you have to throw out. It's kind of like you're fishing. You just throw out a hook and you're trying to get her to bite. You're just buying yourself time for the next couple of seconds on into the conversation. And once you have a hook of her having to respond to you, then you can carry it on into other things. So those are the best things. The assumption is what you want. That's the easiest way to get the girl roped into a conversation, because it makes you stand out as well. Because imagine most of the guys who are going up to talk to her are saying the same thing time and time again. Oh, I really like your hair. I really like your dress. I really like your shoes. I think you're really pretty. It's like everyone is saying that. You don't stand out doing that.
No.
So the assumption is what you want. So just make any assumption. It doesn't have to be correct. It could be completely wrong. You could go over the moon with it. Whatever it is. Say, oh, you look kind of dangerous. And she'll say, oh, why? And you could just totally make up a story. Whatever it is.
Yep, totally agree. I mean, anyone with any common sense will agree. But fair enough. Yeah, I do totally agree, Randall. I just, like I said, I want right of center Anglo-Celtic European style men to have some ideas about, showing up women, because I get too many fucking messages from young chaps who just don't have any idea.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I get blokes who are married and, I don't know, blokes who are whatever, saying, oh, no, you can't talk to this bloke because he's a PUA guy. And again, I think both of them are crap, to be honest. If you're a young chap, you need ways to shut up women, because unless you can do that, you can't make them a girlfriend, and unless you can do that, you can't make them a wife.
Yeah,
So there you go.
absolutely. The skills apply for all aspects of the seduction process. It's basically just a crash course on being charming. It's essentially what it is. It's just game is nothing more than just social skills. And it's a tool like anything else. You can use a hammer to build a house, but you can also use a hammer as a murder weapon. So it all depends on what kind of guy are you going to be. Do you want to use these tools to find a woman and settle down and marry her and be a wife and have a wife and children and all that stuff? Yeah, absolutely, go for it. But you still need to be charming. You still need to have that opening conversation, and this is just the best way to do it.
Yeah, what exactly did charming used to mean? I kind of think it meant that chaps who girls thought were nice,
Yeah.
That's kind of what charming used to mean in the 19th century,
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd meet this chickie babe, and you'd talk to her, and she would go back afterwards and say to her mother or father, "Oh my God, that was a charming man," Which, yeah,
I
that's
think
kind of what we've been talking about.
I think that's also a great segue into another conversation here. I've been getting some flack for this when I tweeted out and I said on Twitter that guys absolutely should still be gentlemen when you're on a date. Like, you should pay for the first date. You should still like open the door for women and stuff like that.
Yep.
And
Totally agree.
I got accused of that's simping for women. That's you can't be doing that kind of stuff. That's ridiculous.
That's being a man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what men do.
Yeah, the distinction is being in a position of strength. And that's what I was made on that post as well on Twitter. When I said that, I said, guys, listen, if you are in a position of strength, like the woman is looking up to you, opening the door for her, taking care of her is not simping. What the problem is that if you lead with that immediately to a girl who doesn't know you, and you just immediately go up to her and, it's almost like you're a fanboy or something, like a person at a concert or something like that. You're like, oh wow, you're so gorgeous, you're so pretty. It's like, that's a position of weakness. That's not a position of strength.
If you absolutely never can do that as a man if you want that girl to be your girl.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, guys, you should still be a gentleman in these kind of scenarios. You should still lead. You should still pay on the first date. This is all just very good, frame setting tactics that you should be employing, and it's guys are just so lost that they think that, paying a girl a compliment is like a bad thing. It's like, no, position of strength, be in a position of strength.
Oh, look, about, I don't know, let me think, probably 8 years ago, I went out with this really cute blonde chick in her 30s. And bear in mind, at this stage, I'm in my late 40s. And she was really nice. And we were chatting away, and I took her out for a meal. And then we went for a second date. And we hadn't had sex in between, by the way, because, I wasn't pushing it, And I went out with her for a second date. And she says to me halfway through this meal, "By the way, I'm married." But my husband doesn't understand me. And trust me, she was this really cute blonde girl who had all these blonde girl moves, with like moving her hair and all this stuff, which is so pretty. But I just, I paid for our bill. I paid for our drinks bill. And I said, okay, that's not my thing, and I just walked out. Because I just don't do that shit. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But you can still be a gentleman about these things,
But I paid for it all because and that was actually an insult to her in many respects. But
yeah. Here's it's a good point that you bring up there as well. Like, I'm gonna be careful how I word this properly as well, because it's almost like you still want to keep a good. This is also really, really important as a younger guy, particularly if you're on a college campus. You want to be a gentleman in the sense of you don't want to kiss and tell. There is something to that. Like it doesn't.
Yes,
Yeah,
there is. Yes.
you don't want. You don't need to be the guy, the big swinging dick guy who goes around all over the place telling everyone about your exploits, around campus and everything like that, or telling them to everybody else.
Makes you sound gay.
Yeah, and it's like also like if you're a good job and if you are a man worth respecting and you do a good job in the bedroom, all the women are going to know, because women talk about that stuff more than men do. So you don't need to be the guy who's going around, being the asshole all the time and stuff like that. You be James Bond, man. Don't be Genghis Khan. So
100%. Don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah. So you don't, this actually ties into another thing as well. And this is one of the big, social media trends that's going on right now, particularly in my circles, the red pill community, of saying, oh, we gotta hold women accountable. We gotta hold these bitches accountable and stuff like that. Like, how dare she come in here and
good
order
luck with that. Good
yeah,
luck
exactly,
with that.
exactly,
Good
exactly.
luck with
Yeah. It's guys, it's not your position to go around thinking you have to hold women accountable. You don't need to go up to them, explain to them how
Look,
sexual.
listen, we maybe should be able to, but it's never going to happen. So
Yes, exactly.
don't worry.
Yeah,
Women
don't
are adult children who
Mhm.
are allowed to do exactly what they want.
Yes, exactly. So it doesn't behoove you to be wasting your time and your energy thinking, oh man, I'm really gonna one up this one chick and I'm gonna show her, some red pill truths on sexual dynamics, and she's in her late 30s and her eggs are drying up, and that'll show her. It's like, no, it won't. There's gonna be
No,
another guy out there that'll take care of
no, it
her.
won't.
So
No, it won't.
it doesn't serve you.
Oh, look. I mean, it depends how old you are. Like, if you're 57 like me,
Mm.
you can get a 42-year-old woman
Absolutely.
and yeah, absolutely, you can be nice to her, but and do by all means. I'm not against. Like I said, women are cute.
Yeah.
They're pretty. They're entertaining. They're attractive, but don't think that they are like deep thinking humans, because they're not, and they never will be.
Yeah, exactly.
They just never will be. It's not the way it works.
Yeah.
If you can get a cheeky babe when you're like say 30 and she's, I don't know, 23, 24, 25, go do it. All right?
Yeah.
By all means, go do it. But don't misunderstand what makes her your cheeky babe, which is basically that she admires you. And as soon as she doesn't, she won't be your cheeky babe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's women. That's how they are. They're never going to change.
Yep, exactly.
Millions of years of evolution.
Yep, 100% true. Like just fulfill your role, and if she wants to step in line, she will, and if she doesn't, there's nothing you can change about it. So move on to the next one. There will always be more.
All right, George, who is my mate, in the chat says, "Nah, smart women exist, and I'm tired of the idea they don't." No, they don't, George. They really don't.
Yep.
Sorry. The only way you think they do is you're not old enough to understand that yet. And I know you're under 25, so there you go.
Yeah, the compartmentalize different things for your life. A lot of guys think that this is also something that's so strange. Like, so many guys think that their girl needs to be their best friend, that they have to do everything that the girl that you do. It's like, no, that's what your guy friends are for. You talk about man shit with other men. You don't need
but
to.
RedHawk men also think the women understand loyalty, and they
They don't.
don't.
No, they don't.
Absolutely, they don't. Not at all.
No, never to the same extent that
Very occasionally, a woman will understand it a little tiny bit, but hardly ever. All right. And George, again, and George is my mate, by the way. I like George. He's a great bloke. But he's saying this is dumb. George, the reason you are saying that is you're not old enough, mate.
Yeah,
when you get a bit older, you'll realize that what we're saying, that women do not understand loyalty at all.
No, not to the
except for a tiny percentage on the outskirts, and there ain't many of them.
Yeah, they don't have the same capacity for it that men do. Women only reserve like their loyalty for their children. They won't reserve it for anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they for children. Yeah, absolutely. For a bloke, no chance.
Nope. And you have to think. You have to think about why that is. It's because in our ancestral past, almost every single woman at some point became a war bride, in the sense that some guy from a rival tribe came in, clubbed the head of her previous husband into the dirt, and took the women for himself. So this is an evolutionary adaptation.
Eventually, she ended up loving her.
Exactly.
Capped her. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yes, and this is, again, all the things that we've been talking about this stream. This is not to put women down. This isn't to hate on them. This isn't to rub it in their face. No, we're just pointing out the facts. We're just pointing out what they are, and that's not a bad thing. It's just the way things are. It's like saying gravity's bad. No, it's just nature.
Yeah.
So
totally agree. Totally agree.
Yep.
When a town was captured by the enemy, the adult men and most of the older boys were butchered, and everybody else was enslaved. And that included all the women. And the cuter women, eventually got on, as they do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't believe that, you're just a moron. I'm sorry. It's like you have no understanding of human history.
Yep. Very, very true. And this is also this isn't to say that women are intrinsically stupid or something like that. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that we're different. We're complements to each other. We do.
Yeah.
Women can pick up on social cues better than any man can ever hoped to do.
Thousand times better. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're just different. We're evolved complements to each other, and we need each other. And we're, need to point out the conversation about the transgender sports nonsense again to show as to why men and women are different. People are so quick to acknowledge that side of the argument when it's in the physical realm. But then when we start talking about cerebral stuff, how smart women are, loyalty or social cues or something like that, everyone has to reflexively say, oh, we're all the same again. It's like, come on, this is bullshit.
Hang on. I have to answer this one, man. Where is this bastard? In ancient Germanic culture, barbarians weren't simps who were fighting to the death to defend their way. Bollocks. No, yes, they were. And in ancient Germanic culture, the women of barbaric Germans used to stand on their wagons cheering on or booing the men, depending on how brave they were. So let's forget that one.
Yeah. Semiagog, actually, he and I have had conversations about this, about how women will kind of goad you into a fight with other men.
As if they were. Women will goad you into a fight. Do you believe that?
Yep. They'll do this with you, and then they'll also do it with other people.
They will. Yeah.
Just to see how you will react. It's a shit test is all it is. They're like, you're gonna let that guy talk to me that way, and stuff like that. And I think this comes down to women kind of reflexively know that they can't be hit, and that means that they like to push the boundaries on certain things. It's like the way a woman talks to a man is never the same way that a man would talk to another man, because the man kind of reflexively knows in the back of his brain that fists can come out at any
Yeah,
given second.
this dude will hit me in the face if I'm too rude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, look, mate, years and years ago, I was with my girl, and the love of my life, by the way. Badly for me, by the way, because like I loved her 10 years after she was dead. But anyway, we were in the Northern Territory, and we went to this nightclub where loads of American fighter pilots who were teaching Australian fighter pilots to fly F-18s were. And like, because I was in those days, relatively nice chap, my girl wanted to go and dance. And I said, oh, yeah, all right, go and dance. So, she went and danced. And like, when I got myself a drink, came back, looked, and there's my chick dancing with like, I don't know, 8 blokes, 2 or 3 of whom are feeling her up. So I walked over there and I said, excuse me, guys, but like, this is my girl, and if you do this anymore, we're going to fight. Now, I wasn't going to win, don't get me wrong. Not for a minute was I going to win against 8 American fighter pilots. But on the other hand, I loved this girl, I really did. And if they wanted to fight me, they were going to have to really fight me. And these Americans actually realized that, hang on, if we do this, we'll win, but like several of us are going to get punched up really badly. So I'm not a little guy. So it all ended up being fine. And we walked back to our seat, and my girl turns around and said, you hugely embarrassed me. What did you do there? And, all the shit that women come out with when you do that. I just turned around and said, nah, sorry, can't do that. And that was the first like outbreak of a problem that became more problematic all later on. But you can't do that as a bloke. I'm sorry. You have to turn around and say to your women, there is a limit. And so somebody like Biaki in the chat, and nah, man, sorry, you're not wrong. Yeah, and even George, who I like a lot, who's a friend of mine, it's not true. As a bloke, you have to have limits.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Absolutely.
If you don't have any limits, then women will fuck you every single time.
Yeah,
every single time.
Absolutely. You have to enforce boundaries. You have to. And they will test you for this as well. Most guys make the mistake so often by thinking, oh, if I just capitulate to her when she does this kind of thing, then she won't do it again. That's the complete opposite. It's absolutely not true. No. It's, again, back to our conversation about, treating women like they're children. You don't capitulate to a child. You give a child a boundary, and this is how it works.
Yeah, George in the chat says, impress your woman, say racial epithets. Sorry, George, don't know where that came from. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about there, mate. If you want women to behave like good girls, which all men do, then you absolutely have to treat them like children.
Yep.
I'm sorry, it's the only way. And Lady Schlott's in the chat. She's a lovely married lady with girls, with children. And even Lady Schlott would be best treated like children. I'm sorry.
Yep. I find that
and she might even agree with that to some degree.
Yeah, I find that a lot of the older seasoned trad women tend to agree with a lot of these statements, because they know the nature of the game.
Yeah. Women, you can only treat women like children if you're a bloke. If you don't, you will always fail.
Yep, absolutely true. And you know, to any detractors in the chat or anything like that, honestly, just try it for 2 weeks. Just try it for a while, and you're going to see that your results are going to improve drastically. You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
But
You know.
then start treating your girl like a child, and all of a sudden you'll find she behaves better because they just do. Because
Yep.
women are basically children.
Yep, and that's not a bad thing, you know. So
It's not in terms of human evolution. It's not a bad thing at all. It's like why women look after their kids,
Yep.
all the rest of it. Craig says dogs, women. No, dogs are much more male than women. They really are. Dogs are like loyal, faithful, brave, and all that stuff. Women are none of those things.
Women are cats. You know?
Yeah. Women are absolutely treat them like kids. It's the only way to be.
Yep. There's a reason why they say a dog is man's best friend. You know, there's actually like an old joke. It's like, you know, the girl is like, a guy asks you like, oh, what are you looking for a woman? Are you looking for loyalty? And the guy says, hey, if I wanted loyalty, I'd get a dog. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You don't get loyalty from women. You get loyalty from women if they admire you. And as soon as they stop admiring you, you get no loyalty whatsoever. And they will then turn around and say things to you like, I never really loved you. It was just like I thought something else, you know, because it's all feelings.
Yep, absolutely.
They don't get it. All right, Riddle, I don't want this to go on much beyond the 2-hour mark. So, can we please have some modern advice? Like, you've got yourself a girl you've gone out with once or twice, or maybe 3 times, but you want to turn her from like a casual girlfriend into your proper girlfriend and maybe a wife. What would your advice be on that stuff?
Well, I can't give too much advice on the wife front because I myself am not married, but I will say.
But you have a long-term girlfriend, I understand.
Right, yeah. I currently I do not. My last one was around for about a year. I let her go. God, when was it now? In March. I let her go.
But you did say you were looking for one.
Oh yeah. I keep a roster going because I spin plates, you know. But
yeah, I know.
Yeah. But I am looking for a more permanent one right now. I'm waiting for, you know, a pretty good one to come about. You know, this is the thing. Like, I go about this in, you know, people would say not the traditional kind of way. You know, I definitely have the woman qualify to me as to why she should be, you know, she should be with me, is essentially how I go about these things. You know, so if the woman is doing the kinds of things that I like, if she's an asset to my life, if I enjoy keeping her around, you know, then I will pretty much upgrade her to, you know, more of a permanent status. And basically, the way I do that, I just make more time for her. I see her more. We start hanging out together more. I would consider bringing her around, you know, like very close friends of mine and family members and stuff like that. But again, generally the way I go with these things is that she comes up and asks me, you know, what are we? And I tie this in for, you know, you asked for modern advice, and this is extremely modern because you almost always, there's some kind of deal breaker in there that you have to train the girl out of in order for me to really take her seriously. So when the girl like asks you, oh, what are we? And I say, well, you know, women that I take seriously don't do X thing, you know, so something that I don't like that she does, you know, and that's a way you could train her to do something that you like. And if she adjusts her behavior to that point, that's like, oh, wow, okay, I should really be taking you seriously then. And then that's when we start going down the serious girlfriend path.
Sorry, I think that's more or less true. Look, men and women are meant to be together, and we have mutually.
We're compatible.
Yeah, mutually compatible sides. And everything in the modern world where, you know, they constantly go on about LGBTQ and gay people and you know, all the rest of it is actually anti-human. It's anti-human. It's not, because men and women are meant to complement each other. And in general terms, they do, you know. You know, if you can actually get yourself a decent girlfriend and turn her into a wife, you know, especially once you have a baby, which I can remember really well, your wife suddenly turns into this ultra protective creature about the baby, you know. And that is the way humans are meant to be. I mean, I also, like, you know, I watched my son being born, and it was kind of cool, to be honest. It really was. It was like, you know, it's the life. Suddenly there it was, you know. And these days, my son is in his 20s and serves in the Fleet Arm in the Royal Navy, you know. So it's kind of like quite weird in that regard. But
that's awesome. I'd like to be a father, you know, at some point, you know, but it's tough out there.
You should try it, man. Honestly, you really should. If you don't get a chick who absolutely admires you, and I'm not sure about love, to be honest.
That's a good point too.
In terms of women, I think what you want is admiration, not love.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure women really understand what that is.
Yeah.
Blokes do. Blokes fall in love with women all the time.
Yeah.
And it don't even require very much.
Yeah.
But for a woman to fall in love with a bloke, she has to admire him.
Yep. It's kind of like we were talking about before about how you have to bring something to the table as a guy, when a girl can be, you know, broke, unintelligent, you know, not funny, have almost nothing going on, and a man can absolutely still love her. But, you know, if, you know, the guy,
she
you know,
just needs to have an okay face and all right tits and not bad legs.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's it. That's all you need for a girl. But yeah, I don't know about women in love. I'm dubious about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Again, I think it's one of those things that is also just reserved for children. Well,
women love their children. Absolutely, women will die for their children, for sure.
Yep.
But that not for blokes.
No.
Men will die for women and their children, but that's an entirely different thing. Women only love men so long as they admire them.
Yes.
And if you can get a girl who does admire you, go for it, mate. Because there's nothing better than being like a husband and a dad.
Right.
That is what we should all aim at, for sure.
Yeah.
I think even you would find that kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, I definitely think I would. You know, my biggest detraction is just the laws currently as they stand in the West. And I came from a divorced family. I have at least, I have 4 other divorces outside of like my immediate family as well, you know, and I really, really want to get it right, you know, before I commit to that. But is it something
I've been there? I've been there and done that. My mother left my dad when I was 6. My little brother was 4, and he brought both of us up. So, like, I was born in 1965, so you're talking a long, long time. So, yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. Don't get me wrong. This is one reason why some trads think I'm stupid or not trad. It's just because, like, you know, women have always been like this a bit.
Yeah.
You know, my dad was married for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, my mum decided, nah, I'm leaving him and I'm leaving my kids. And there was absolutely nothing my dad could do about it at all, except for take all the financial punishment that he could for the next 10 years, you know? It's like, you know. That's
Yeah.
just the way it works, man.
Yeah, it's rough out there for sure. No,
But yeah,
but I would also like to add to that, just because it's rough out there, that's not an excuse to, not try, just to check out everything. Well, I disagree with the guys that, take the woe is me approach and just say, oh, well, there's no point to any of it. There's no point at all to it. And we might as well not
yeah,
even try. It's like, well, I
100.
mean, what the fuck else is there? I mean, what are you
Yeah,
gonna,
100%. And are you going to be a gay guy? If
yeah.
you're not going to be a gay guy, then you have to do something about women, all right? And
Hmm.
let's be honest, women are very pretty, very cute. Well, actually, the best women are very pretty, very cute, and very lovely. And who doesn't want them around you? Because, like, I do.
Yeah.
Kind of like I like chicks,
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
nice.
They're fantastic to have around. When you
Hmm.
have good ones around you, it is definitely an enhancement to your life for sure.
Absolutely, they make you laugh,
Hmm.
and they're pretty when they're chained in the corner or in the collar and all this kind of stuff. It's like I'm only half joking, but
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It's chicks are cute. They're cute.
Hmm. Absolutely true. Yeah. Um, anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know, Matt. Unless anyone else has anything in the chat, I think we probably covered most of it. But all I would just say, look, if you're a bloke, make the best of yourself as a bloke,
Yep.
and shut up the best chicks you can shut up. Now, all right, if you're I don't know, 4 as a bloke, you probably can't shut up eight chicks, but
Yep.
you can certainly shut up 5 or 6 chicks.
Yeah.
Go do that,
Yeah, and you can also level up. It's your competition is so weak these days, guys. I mean, 75% of Americans are overweight or obese. So
Yep.
go
Yep.
hit the gym. The it's easier than ever to set yourself apart from the crowd. Most people are growing up online and they don't know how to have in-person interactions with people. Most people are fat. Most people are lazy. Most people are poor. So it's easier than ever to separate yourself. Does that mean that, there's a plethora of amazingly perfect, great trad women around? No, but that still doesn't mean that, you can't use that as an excuse. Don't use it as an excuse. Go be better for yourself. And if the good women comes along with that, absolutely take advantage of that.
Yeah, totally right. I mean, like, if you're an average-looking bloke, make yourself look as chad as you can make yourself,
Mm-hmm.
dress as well as you can make yourself dress, and be confident, and you will be surprised at the women who will think this dude ain't bad. Look, I don't know, like looks wise, I always reckon I was 7.5 or something like that, but
Mm.
I'm 6'2", 200 pounds, used to be a soldier, and I was a pretty confident bloke, and like I could get 8, 9 women if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Could I get 10s? I don't know. It depends what you call a 10, to be honest. Because some of the people who get called 10s these days, I don't think they are. But whatever. I got perfectly lovely looking chicks, but I was never rich. What I was like smart, handsome, well dressed, and reasonably fit,
Mm-hmm.
and a fairly bad guy, to be honest. Which women always like.
Very true.
They just do. Guys can be drug dealers and women.
Oh, yep.
With them,
Yep. Very true.
And I, by the way, I was never a drug dealer.
Right.
I've
Yeah.
smoked some spliff in my life, but I was never a drug dealer.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's something to be said that even Charles Manson had, fangirls and stuff like that,
And he was not a handsome man, let's be honest.
Nope. Yeah. So
women like blokes who are outstanding. They will
mhm,
just go, "Oh my God, he's different," you know.
mhm.
Don't fall for this bollocks that men and women are the same. They're not.
Yep.
And men keep falling for this shit. And go,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't get a girlfriend. I can't get a girlfriend. Yeah, you can. You just
Yeah.
have to outstand. You just have to be different from most of the bloody soy boy mob.
Yeah. Exactly. The spiteful mutants. You know. Yeah. Yeah. Just it's easier than ever, guys. You know, but it requires work. You know, just
It
accept the
does.
fact that it requires work. You know, like no one said life is supposed to be easy except your lying teachers in school who fed you all this bullshit. It's like, no, anything that's worth it in life requires work. You know, and women are no different.
100%. 100%. RedHawk, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah,
And
this was fun.
I would love to do another stream with you. In particular, I'm looking to do a stream with Semi-Ago, and I'd like you to come on that one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So yeah, I'd really like to do that. Thanks, man. Good stream.
Yeah,
Thought it was
fantastic.
interesting, and I, as I said, I'd hope you will join the stream I am trying to do with Semi-Ago, although he's a very busy man, so I don't know how long that will take. But we'll go. Gents, go on, and we will see you on Saturday, UK time, for our next splendid isolation stream. Go on.